Just a couple of best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out.
Yeah. Well, it's not a couple of best friends hanging out. It's just me hanging out. Pretty late night last night. Went to the A's game, as you guys know. And it's just continued tragedy for the old Oakland Athletics in these elimination games. What a weird atmosphere that was. First of all, it took forever to park, forever to get there. I don't think the Coliseum's seen a crowd like that in as long as I can remember. Certainly not even at Raiders games have I seen that many people there. And it was a weird energy the entire time. You could tell everyone was like flustered from trying to rush over there after work because, you know, the baseball decided to put it on at 5 o'clock, in the Bay Area when people are just getting off of work and they got to, find their way over there. I had to drive over, find parking in the ghetto. It was pretty sketchy. I put every single belonging I had in my trunk, so no one could see anything of my brand new 2012 Honda Civic that I just bought. It's a great car. It gets great gas mileage. I'm a little neurotic about the efficiency of gasoline that I use because there's a little meter that's green when I'm doing a great job, with great fuel efficiency, and then it turns blue when I'm doing a shit job. And I have to admit, I am super neurotic about it now. I just stare at that thing, and if it's blue, I gotta fix it. So now, basically what that means is your boy's driving 57 on the freeway constantly. 3 miles an hour up hills, and so it's a little rough for anyone behind me. I get a lot more honks than I did before. But anyway, nothing happened to my car because I was wise and was able to hide everything in the ghetto so no one broke in. So then after that, I walked about a mile to the BART station to meet my girlfriend Amber, and she had to wait, 20 minutes at the Coliseum station. Like 3 trains were just stacked on top of each other waiting to, unload their passengers. And she had to take a mean piss, so she was really trying hard not to pee her pants in there apparently, and then apparently waited in line, was able to skip over a few people because she was so desperate. And by the time she and I met, we were already down 1-0. There was a home run, leadoff homer, I'm pretty sure. And that kind of set the tone for the crowd, which was a weird, pissed off, anxiety-ridden crowd from the very get-go. Everyone was yelling at each other. Adam was good enough to get us seats with a bunch of his friends, and I was, we pull up and sit down. Amber wants to go get hot dogs and beer and shit, so she goes and does that. And there's a bunch of people sitting in that are not in our group, and we have 2 rows of about 5 seats each. And it's this decrepit old lady who's just falling apart, completely held together with rubber bands, duct tape, and I don't know what else, prayers, and then her vaguely white trash daughter. And apparently they weren't leaving. They bought treehouse standing room tickets, and they thought that our section was just open seating when it clearly wasn't. So we were waiting for people to come back with drinks and shit like that. So we were whatever, we'll just deal with it, because we didn't have all the, the actual tickets with us to prove that they were being morons. And then this large man comes and sits next to him, clearly dating the vaguely white trash girl, and he is more than vaguely white trash. He is very white trash, but he's also a very big boy. And we're fuck, this is going to be a little more awkward now. And then the decrepit old lady can't see shit because no one can see shit because the standing room only is in front of the front row of our section. So then the people in the front row are standing up, people in the second row are standing up, so on and so forth. So the lady complains to the big guy that she can't see anything. So he runs over to the front section and he goes, "Sit the fuck down!" and is screaming at them and pointing at them, and they're just a bunch of bros like us. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And then the white trash chick is like, oh, stop it, Sean, or whatever his name was. And finally he gets pulled away from them. But now we're thinking this is really going to be a rough situation here. And that kind of set the tone for the whole day, and that was kind of like encapsulated the way everyone in the stadium felt. A's fans are not used to having anyone in the Coliseum, and clearly the Oakland Athletics are not used to having anyone in the Coliseum because they choke every single time it's a big game. It was brutal to watch, and eventually Amber came back and some of Adam's friends came back, and it was a very peaceful discussion with the trashy white people in front of us, and eventually they moved. But the game was fun. I sat with Adam and Amber, and we drank some beers. It was still a good time. I was very glad we went. It was when the A's were doing well, it was an awesome environment. Like, I'd never seen a baseball game that loud. But unfortunately, the A's were doing poorly the whole time. They kept hitting in the double plays, just worthless hits, nothing. I mean, the triple that they got, which they eventually scored on, was due to an error. So, I mean, it just goes to show how our night went. But, yeah, I went to Star Pizza afterwards and had some pizza and beer. It was delicious. So that was the A's game. A lot of fun. Came home to my new cat. Her name's Presley. She's super sweet. She just, cuddles and follows us and meows. We got her a laser pointer, and it freaked her out. She was walking around the house like she saw a ghost for 3 hours after seeing it. All right, now I have a few things I want to talk about before getting into football, but one is a few things about Weaver's podcast. Apparently they only have one picture of those three because it's in constant use for the YouTube footage. And Celine Dion, funny moment about Celine Dion. You guys were talking about her. One of the best moments at the A's game was, this little competition that they always do on the big screen, and it was a guess the song lyric, and they give her a multiple choice, and the song is My Heart Will Go On, of course. And this person is struggling. You can tell they want to phone a friend, poll the audience, freaking out, doesn't know the answer when it's a fucking multiple choice right in front of her. And so the entire audience starts singing, near, far, wherever you are. It was awesome. 50,000 people singing Celine Dion. What a moment. So yeah, I wish we could bottle that moment up and just sell it. Maybe a new sponsored read in the future. Anyway, I think that you guys were pretty on point about Andrew Peebley's team being propped up by the flash-in-the-pan running back, Austin Eckler. We all know who the real RB is, and thank you, Max, for giving him to me. It's always a pleasure. I assume he's going to do great, especially because Marlon Mack is falling down to earth hard. Really hard. It's tough, especially when the matchup this week is going to be against Kansas City. He's questionable. We'll see if he plays. I think he will. But if they're down 100 to 20, Marlon Mack is no Russell Wilson. They're going to start Nyheim Hines, who for some reason I was calling Nyheim Means all last Sunday. So that's going to be his name from now on, Nyheim Means. It's kind of like Weaver with fucking what he called the Giants quarterback Emmanuel Jones, like he's some fucking Cuban or something. Dude, his name's Daniel. It could not be more Christian and more white. Weaver. Emmanuel. Okay. So that's kind of like a meme with Weaver's fake couple of best friends hanging out podcast is he just butchers these football players' names, and it's fucking hilarious. So if you guys are listening to it at night, definitely crack open a beer and drink for Weaver saying the wrong name. Not that I'm any peach at pronouncing things right. I've been struggling with that my whole life, but Anyway, yeah, I think Marlon Mack could have a rough week. So I just picked up my boy Naheim Hines Means, and I'm honestly thinking about starting him because I mean I really think that the game script could dictate that they just throw 10 swing passes to him and he gets that Russell Wilson garbage. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So yeah, here I am, 10:58 in the morning. Slept in because that's what I do, and it was a pretty late night. So here I am. I wasn't gonna do it today, and I have to kind of keep it short and sweet because I got a lot of shit that I have to do. So I'm just basically going to go over this week's matchups. That's pretty much it. All right, so I'm going to start out with Kyler Barely Newer against Count Charcula, a really disappointing name from Team Sean because, I mean, there were so many that he could have done. Baby Chark, we talked about it. Left Chark, famous Super Bowl meme. But Count Charcula is what he went with. So, Street Sharks was another one. That would have been infinitely cooler. But I'm just going to have to teach old Count Charcula a lesson this week. The QB battle is not a good one for him. He's got Brissett against Kansas City, which could go well, but in that conservative offense, I think it's going to be tough for old Jacoby Brisket there because they could go down fast, and then as they always say, the D-line defense is gonna pin their ears back and really get after him. Could be a tough day for old Jacoby Brissett. And Lamar Jackson, we all know he's a fucking stud. He's gonna destroy Pittsburgh. So it'll be double sadness for old Count Charcula. It's gonna be a massacre. And my wide receiving core is maybe arguably not better than his anymore. I have Julio Jones, which is incredible. He's got Juju, who I doubt does much against Baltimore. They've got that shutdown corner. What's his name? Maybe I'll phone a friend. Weaver, can you help me out? What's that cornerback's name on Baltimore? So I think Schuster gets shut down. Alshon, Marquise Brown and Alshon have been a little boomer busty / touchdown reliant. I've got Sterling Shepard, but I don't like him going against Minnesota. And then I've got DJ Moore, and I'm just not sure he's getting the target volume that I need from old Kyle Allen. So I'm just rolling the dice with Marquise Brown and Alshon against Robert Woods, who had a big week. But I think I don't think he has as big of a week against Seattle. Chark has been killing it, but he's going to go up against Dante Jackson, probably in Carolina. Dante Jackson might shut him down. He's been having a really, really good year. So I'm hoping that the defense dictates that his wide receivers will not blow up. He's got Duke Johnson, Sonny Michel. I've never been a Michel supporter. He was big on touchdowns last year, but I don't think that's a really great metric on what makes a great fantasy player because touchdowns are so random. Look at Julio Jones last year. He was leading the league in receptions and yards and had 2 touchdowns at the halfway point. It's just a roll of the dice. Anyone could get it. So I think it's more target volume and touches and all that kind of shit. So Sonny Michel, he could get a touchdown for sure. Don't get me wrong, especially with, I guess he did get 17 attempts last week. Yeesh. Yeah, that's a lot of touches. Jimmy Graham, the guy that I drafted, he's either 10 points or 0 points. So I'm thinking this will probably be a 0-point kind of day. So I think I just have the better team, to be honest. So fuck off, Sean, with your shit name. I'm gonna whoop that ass. All right, and then we have Locketed, Cocked, and Loaded against M. Dunn Jr., old Maxwell. He's going to roll out my boy Odell Beckham Jr. against the 49ers on Monday night. We'll see how that goes. I think OBJ is trouble. I was really bummed after I drafted him. A report came out that he could not go full speed. He could not, quote, open up because of his hip. And that was the first red flag for Odell Beckham Jr. for me. So I was, and then freaking Nostradamus was like, "Oh, you got to sell high on him." I heard a lot of fantasy podcasts talking about how Odell Beckham was looking tough, and mostly the thing I was worried about is his quarterback Baker Mayfield looking like pure shit, like just looking horrible, sophomore slump to the maximum. So I've always been a high on Melvin Gordon guy. I think that offense is really talented, and I think that he's a very talented back. And he helped me win a fantasy championship in my other league, which we won't talk about. So I've always been a fan of his. I was happy to get him, and there was a surprisingly low amount of rabbling. Todd Gurley is another one of those tough players. Seems to be touchdown dependent at this point, which is kind of a sad turn of events for old Todd because he was so electric and incredible, and it seems like there's definitely something wrong with him. He's just not the same player. So I feel like old Max Dunn Jr. has a very touchdown dependent lineup. He's got except for Dalvin Cook, that guy's amazing, and Russell Wilson, first team all garbage. He's got DK Metcalf, which literally all his routes are just straight down the field, hoping to God that he gets a touchdown from old Russ. I just don't see Max winning this one. I got Wentz going against the Jets, Thielen against the Giants, Lockett in a that potential shootout, the real wide receiver on that team. Got Carson. We'll see what's up with Carson. Then you got Kamara against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, unless it's the Carolina Panthers, they're not playing any defense. So Kamara can certainly go off, and Andrews should get some target volume. He usually does. But Austin Eckler, that faker, he's done, dude. He is done. Put a fucking pin in him. So to be clear, I picked myself last, and I'm picking Locketed, Cocked, and Loaded to win this one. I think it's just going to be tough. Montgomery might have a breakout game against Oakland, but hey, Oakland, they're talking about playoffs. Up next is the New England Empire. Sounds like an MLS team crossed with an Ultimate team. And that kind of makes sense for Bacon. It's very on brand. He's going up against first team all diamond Jamison Carbon, Bill. And Bill actually and I talked on the phone a little while ago because we were trying to work on a trade, never materialized. But he was like, "I need some credit, man." He's like, "My team is always good, and people just act like it's a fluke." And you know what? Go back into history, he's absolutely right. You got to give old Billy Carbomb some cred, some hashtag credit, because his team is always good. Sure, he won the Sacco in a 14-team league, which is unbelievable, considering that Kevins and Curtis were in that league. But yeah, look at his team. He's got a resurgent Winston. He's got Keenan Allen, arguably a top 3 wide receiver. I think he's leading the league in receiving yards. Curtis Samuel seems to be a favorite of Kyle Allen, so he's going to get a lot of good volume down the stretch. Godwin has been, playing really well. I thought he was going to be horrible, but he's got a 12-point, 22-point, and a 32-point game. Going to be tough to beat him rolling with those 3 wide receivers, especially when he's got Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the league, paired with Leonard Fournette, who also seems to be resurgent. 29 attempts for 225 yards against Denver. I see a little bit of a tougher matchup against Carolina this week. I think the Carolina Panthers have a good defense. They're not a good offense, but they do have a good defense. They get put in bad positions all of the time, but they are a good defense. So I think they shut down Leonard Fournette a little bit. But yeah, James White is also he's just continuously fantasy average. And I mean above average. He gets like 10 to 9 points unless he's having his own child. He's getting like 10 points. Like, mark it. I had him last year. He was great for that. great flex. Against the New England Empire, he's going against a bunch of Patriots, and that defense almost fucked me last week. What a fucking monster defense, dude. Wow. Yeah, let's see what they've put up. 10, 37, 14, and 25. Yeah. Just kill me. Just kill me. Emmanuel Sanders, the real Emmanuel Weaver. I think he is kind of a tough kind of. Well, now that I look at it, he is getting some volume, but for some reason I thought he was, on a downtrend, but I guess not. Josh Gordon, I feel like he's just due for a giant game, and I think this one could be it. So yeah, the New England Empire. I've still got Jameson Carbomb to win this one. But Bacon, I think your team is looking pretty good. I was actually really nervous about playing you last week, and fortunately I got out of there with a win, despite not having the best week. So I got Jameson Carbomb. And then Aaron's Abysmal All-Stars, A.A. Ron against Hawk and Cock, who somehow is a gold player. Not sure how. Fifth. I'm not even sure how that shit works. That's so frustrating. I mean, why am I losing points despite winning in both my leagues? It doesn't make any sense. I'm sure it does make sense somewhere, but it must heavily weigh the playoffs because I have not been successful in those in the past. But this year I'm having a great year. Weaver's got an empty kicker spot, so fill it. He's benching Josh Jacobs for Samuels, the running back in Pittsburgh. The guy who rushes 10 times and got a touchdown. He's catching the ball a little bit too, so I guess Jalen Samuels is a better play than the Raiders starting running back against Chicago. I'll take it. Dorsett, I think, is a really underrated player, but he's also kind of a boomer bust kind of player. So we'll see what happens there. I think he booms. Actually, I'm just not convinced anyone's ever going to score on New England ever again. So until that happens, I'm going to say bust. No one's scoring against New England. If you're playing New England, bench him. McLaurin against New England, bench him, Hawk and Cock. I mean, you're good at benching McLaurin. Hawkinson on a bye, so the tight end he's rolling with is Jack Doyle. Doyle rules, which is cool. I like Jack Doyle. But I don't think he does too much against Kansas City this week. He could get that. He could get that touchdown, but again, the yardage is tough with him. I would love to see red zone targets, but he hasn't eclipsed 46 yards this year, so it could be tough. I think 5.8 is probably right on the money. We got Evans against surprisingly effective New Orleans defense. But our boy Kevins has been unstoppable these last few weeks. So I think he continues his run, gets at least a touchdown against New Orleans. Michael Thomas has been tough with Breezes out. Hopkins has also been a little disappointing. I think I pick Weaver for this because he's going up against Atlanta with Hopkins and Watson, and Atlanta's defense has been abysmal. He's got Boyd going up against Arizona. That's a trash battle of trash teams. Ingram up against Pittsburgh, more trash. And Samuels, they look to be behind against Baltimore. He'll probably get some targets. And then Dorsett, I pick, and I assume he's going to start a kicker. So I got Weaver in this one. So yeah, keep up the good work, Hawk and Cock. You've been more of a zombie team than Colin, although Colin's the ultimate zombie, and we'll get to his matchup right here. One thing you can't take away from Colin is he's a really shrewd waiver wire free agent manager. He does it all the time. A lot of these guys. He got Auden Tate like minutes before me after the waivers happen. You get the emails, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was trying to get this on take guy. Colin already had him. He picked up Hooper. Austin Hooper, not Cooper. And then he had Ross blow up for him for a few weeks, which was all you can ask for. But yeah, I guess Tyreek Hill should be coming back. He picked up Brown, but I can't imagine starting him. The fake AJ Brown. I can't imagine starting him against Buffalo. And I had him after that first week. I saw a bunch of highlights of him, and he looked really explosive. He looked big, and he's like the kind of player who gets a lot of yards after the catch. It looks like, but he's just not getting targeted that much. But yeah, it looks like Allen's gonna play, right? He's got that nasty concussion. I think Tennessee's defense is a lot better than we think it is. He's got my boy Joey Sly. Great, he's been killing it. Like, I would be stoked if they fucking cut Cano, to be honest. Or Gano. Joey Sly is the man. He's dope. So, Scott's shitty team, Phillip Rivers, Colin about to get, lit up by his own quarterback. That's always fun to see. Devontae Adams is killer. Is he going to play? That questionable is always scary. Remains sideline Thursday. Eesh. That's going to be rough. We'll see. We'll see with him. Edelman's back, doing well. He's usually has a very nice target floor. Yeah, I think it was more game script. I guess not game script, just ineffective QB play from Tom Brady, and that Buffalo defense seems to be for real. So I think it was more that for Edelman than anything else. I think he bounces back. I think Watkins has a big game, especially if Tyreek Hill is still out. So that could be a big thing. If Tyreek Hill plays and is effective, and Colin starts him, it could be a big swing for his team. Stephon Diggs is always feels to me like a boomer bust play. And here we go, yeah, 4-10, 3-12. So the boom isn't even that boomy, but the bust is real busty for Stephon Buster Diggs. I like Greg Olsen a lot against Jacksonville, so it's kind of this game's kind of a toss-up. Freeman has been horrible this year. He's just been average 11 and 14, are his two best scores. So he's trending up at least against Houston. We'll see. Chubb against San Francisco. I actually like the Niners in that game. I think Cleveland's lightweight, like a real mess. I know they fucked up Baltimore on the road. For some reason, I'm not buying it yet. We'll see. Jeez, this is a tough pick. It kind of hinges on health. Like, if Devontae Adams doesn't play, then I'm definitely going with Colin, especially if Tyreek Hill does play. So I'm just gonna go with Colin. I think Colin needs to change his name to, like, this pity party that you're trying to throw. No one's interested. Fuck me, right? Like, what are we talking about, Colin? Who's Coleman? That's your guy? John, what's his name? Jeff Ross? John Ross? Yeah, John Ross. Jeffrey Ross is the roaster. I'm not buying it, dude. No. No way. Change your name, Colin. We gave you a bunch of options, and you didn't pick any of them. Scott's shitty team will remain shitty. The real worry is if Scott sucks so bad this year and is so absent from commentary, it could be one of those moments where he's like, I feel like I've let the league down. I don't have time for this anymore. I'm going to step aside. I'd hope that doesn't happen, because this is an awesome league, and I think Scott, when he's active, is an awesome part of it. So, Scott, if you're listening, even if you have a super shitty year, which you're having, it's fine, dude. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep chugging. What do we have left? I think we have got one more left. We got the true comeback story versus Ezekiel saw the deal, which he did. Ezekiel saw the deal, and he's not seeing the right players to start, though. God Damn, Adam. What happened last week? What happened? Let's see. I gotta actually pull it up. Let's see. All right. 93 to 96. Who is on your bench? Jarvis Landry. After your diatribe about starting Kansas City wide receivers, it came back and bit you hard. Started Hardman, he got you minus -0.1, which is kind of what you're hoping for from Juju Smith-Schuster going into Monday night, who only gets 3 fantasy points. Yeah, just a really tough play for Adam. He can get 20 points, but instead of get 0.1, it's like me with Jordan Howard. So, anyway, this week's sponsor is 24 Hour Fitness. Have you ever wanted to go to the gym, lift a bunch of weights, get buff like me? But when you walk into the locker room, you see about 5 dad dicks. And I mean, these guys are just walking around completely nude. I actually saw one guy drinking a beer the other day in the locker room, completely naked, walking around with flip-flops on. Real tough look. But yeah, this is brought to you by 24 Hour Fitness. Get fit like me. If you want all the glamour muscles and none of the effective cardio, you know where to go. 24 Hour Fitness. Don't forget to wipe down those machines with the ever-broken spray bottles. You just kind of have to spit shine them. Yeah, so 24 Hour Fitness. But seriously, if you go to the freaking locker room at those places, and this, you know what, this goes for any locker room. When you go to the gym, you'll see naked, usually old naked men who are large gentlemen. They look like Tweedledee bodies, Humpty Dumpty bodies. And they're just sitting there naked, walking around naked, doing whatever the fuck they do naked. And it's like, there needs to be a nudity shot clock in these places. Like, look, dude, there's never any reason for you to be completely naked beyond 30 seconds. Like, let's be real here. There's no reason to be completely naked. Let's say you forgot your towel. Wear your boxers to the shower. Take off your boxers in the shower, or your MeUndies, whatever you might have. And then, you know, maybe you dry yourself off with paper towels, because apparently 24 Hour Fitness doesn't give out towels anymore. So maybe that's an opportunity for you to not be naked. When you get, but if you usually you have a towel if you're taking a shower, and you wrap the towel around your waist. I see these guys walking around with the towel over their shoulders. I'm like, bro, you don't need that. You really don't need that. And no one wants to see it. I think they're just either exhibitionists, or maybe they're trying to fish a little bit. I don't understand it. But yeah, mandatory shot clock for nudity. You do not need to, you know, go and shave naked. You can go and shave your face with your underwear on, with all your clothes on. There's zero reason. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about lately. It's always tough to go. You're like trying to tie your shoes, and next thing you know, there's some dad dick hanging low and tight right in front of your fucking face, and you're like, God damn it, dude. And these guys, they live for it, man. And it's like, you live for walking around naked with your slides on and your towel in your hand. It's just weird, man. Just weird. Anyway, where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, Ezekiel saw the deal against Count Chocula last week, who was actually Kaimi Maybe last week. Sean with 2 wins in a row, I believe. That all comes to an end this week, Sean, so chill. Ezekiel saw the deal versus True Comeback Story. And speaking of comebacks, Evan is really making a comeback this year despite losing Antonio Brown, who is officially dropped off your team. Is he on the waiver wire? Fuck, I'm picking him up. Hold up. I do that. Antonio Brown. Can you put him in your IR spot? Inactive? Can you put inactive in your fucking... You know what? It's tough. I don't know. Pick up Antonio Brown. Yeah, no one's touching him, right? Alright, fuck it. I don't even want to get rid of Naheim means for him. All right. So, surprising. Without Antonio Brown, second-round pick, Evan is still doing really well. Cooper Kupp was a really good pick. I wanted him really bad. Look at this. Fuck, dude. 10 targets, 9 targets, 12 targets, 15 targets. He's had 100 yards in his last 3 games and 3 touchdowns. Incredible, man. He's having a great year. So really good pick. That's basically Antonio Brown numbers. So you got your Antonio Brown replacement in like the 5th, 6th round, whenever that was. You got Cortland Sutton, who I believe Weaver called like Carlos Sutton or something like that. I don't know why Weaver just goes straight to the Mexican/Cuban names when he's making them up for these people. But we've got Roberto Anderson here. Horrible. Not sure why he's starting. I guess you probably have a lot of... Oh, no, not really. Not a lot of players on bye. Cole Beasley's actually... every time I've looked up, he has the ball, and he has 10 targets and 13 targets. So you might want to think about starting him over Roberto Anderson. Carlos Beasley. I think Evan has a sneaky, really good team. He's got LaShawn McCoy, who's been feasting off like 8-10 touches a game. I was lucky and I snagged 2 garbage time touchdowns, or 2 goal line touchdowns. Not really garbage time because they were necessary, but 2 vulture touchdowns from my 1-week rental. Then we got Adam here. Matt Ryan is horrible. I think he gets smoked by Houston. Cooks has been, reliable, but for some reason I just don't trust him still. Fitzgerald is great. Landry, finally in your lineup. He's getting more targets than Beckham. I think he's a more reliable wide receiver. I think he's healthier, and I think the Browns know it. And I like him going forward. Elliott's gonna hopefully do well against Green Bay. So we got both Aaron Jones and Elliott going up against each other. So that'll be a fun one for you to watch. This is a tough pick too. Looks like Ronald Jones is finally the starter in Tampa Bay. So another good pickup by your boy Evan. This is a tough pick. He's got Wayne Gallman, Jones. Let's just go straight across. Mahomes over Ryan, Kupp over Cooks, Fitzgerald over Sutton, Landry over Robbie Anderson, Elliott over Gallman. I got Aaron Jones over Ronaldo Jones. I got Travis Kelce over Ingram. I actually have Lindsey over McCoy. So I'm going to go with Adam. I think Adam wins this one. So there you go, Adam. It's going to be fun. Going to be a fun thing for you. You'll finally get that win. Jump into like 10th place or something. So there's my picks this week. So sorry that I couldn't have a more well thought out, awesome podcast. It's just I've been super busy all week. We're doing the final mixes for the Hit Radio Keys record this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I have a show Saturday, rehearsal tonight. Trying to get podcasts out too, for my actual podcast for my band. And going to work and the girlfriend. So there's a lot I'm juggling this week. But I was able to get this. I was inspired by Weaver putting one out. I couldn't let the guys down. So there you go. I'm working just like Weaver's working. So good stuff on the podcast, you guys. I could hear Bacon pretty well. I haven't finished the podcast. I got about 10 minutes in, but Colin, always a great guest. Bacon now seems to be a great guest. Was missing the bird and still missing Brad. Excuse me. Let's get Brad on that pod. Anyway, good luck to everyone this week, except for Sean. And this is Stewart. I'm going to check out now with just a couple of
Best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out.